Since I was talking about Michael and his anniversary of his death and how the media used Mike to garner ratings and stuff, I started thinking back about to that day when I heard about Michael Jackson passing. Farrah Fawcett also died. If y'all don't know who she is one of the original stars of Charlie Angels, the TV series. And there's that famous poster that's supposed to be on every boy, I say white boy, bedroom in the 70s during that time. I mean, it could have been some black guys, but I think there was mostly white guys. But anyways, she died that day of cancer. And on that very same day, well, actually, it broke prior, but it didn't blow up until that very day. But the media sort of squashed the story because of Michael Jackson's death. It was illegal harvesting going on in New Jersey. And I'm going to play this, and you're going to see why Michael was a great cover story for what happened. Because if you remember, MSNBC, CNN, and even Fox Clan all dedicated a lot of their time to Michael Jackson, to his death. Well, actually, they mocked the man's death because even when he died, people were still criticizing and talking about him as if he was a molester. And the reason why I bring this up, because like I said, I started thinking about that day. And it's like, certain things that happen in life. You know where you was at when you had your first kiss. You know where you was at when you lost your virginity. You know where you was at when 9/11. If those old enough know where they was at with Pearl Harbor, or when Kennedy or King or Malcolm was assassinated, or you knew where you was, so those events in your life. And while I didn't know Mr. Jackson, I just never forget that numb feeling. I remember that very same thing going out in the radio. People in the radio was like, I just can't believe Michael Jackson's dead. And going down the street, seeing people out there holding signs up, hunk if you love Michael, but the very same people probably was calling him a pedophile days prior. You know what I mean? And so I started thinking about those days, but I also remember what was going on in the news at that time. And I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to show you how treacherous a group of people can be. A particular group of people who always claim to be victims, and they use Michael Jackson's death to cover this up. So bear with me a sec while I play this.
Say that they have made a major corruption bust. We're awaiting a news conference following the arrest of about 30 people, including 2 New Jersey mayors and several rabbis. Officials say some of the suspects charged today were selling human organs. The suspects were allegedly involved in taking cash payments to help find organs for patients in need of transplants. It is unclear where the body parts might have come from or how many surgeries may have been done, and we're hoping to get more information at that news conference in this hour. But for more on this, joining me now from Boston is Bill Gavin, an FBI veteran of 28 years and a former assistant director of the agency's New York office. And from Philadelphia, Dr. Arthur Kaplan, director of the Center for Bioethics at the University of Pennsylvania, and interestingly, co-chair of the UN Task Force on Human Trafficking. And from Washington, D.C., Dr. Bernadine Healy, health editor for U.S. News and World Report. Bill, I'd like to start with you. Reports right now that 30 people have been arrested, including a couple of mayors, deputy mayors, rabbis, state assemblymen. It certainly sounds like a very large dragnet.
There's no doubt about it. It is a large dragnet. The case has been ongoing for a couple of years now, and there's obviously cooperating witnesses involved in this. I've read both the complaints for a number of the individuals. Cooperating witnesses, I'm sure grand jury involvement. I'm also sure that there were overhears on telephones from Title III's. So it's going to be a far-reaching case, and some of these individuals are going to end up in jail. There's no doubt that they took money, and they have that recorded and have it taped pretty well at the same time.
I'd like to pause for a minute and bring in WNBC's Jonathan Dienst, who's joining me on the phone. Jonathan's been following this very carefully this morning. Jonathan, can you give us some insight and an update? Jonathan Dienst, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can. Can you go ahead and just tell us?
The calling is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, public corruption investigation in New Jersey state history in terms of numbers. There were dozens of arrests. At last count, we heard of 30 people in custody, more than 20 of them public officials, some of them mayors, as you just heard, from Secaucus, from Hoboken, lots of officials from Jersey City as well. So this is wide-ranging, but this investigation doesn't only include allegations of public corruption. It includes issues of money laundering by community leaders and rabbis in numerous communities. It also amazingly deals with the smuggling of body parts. There's talk now that, or among the charges, that one of the suspects was actually lining up the kidney donors overseas out of Israel, and then they were allegedly lying for needy patients that these were relatives, and then they would call hospitals like Johns Hopkins in Baltimore or Robert Wood Johnson Medical Center in New Brunswick to try to get them to perform these operations.
Okay, I'm going to stop it. I apologize for the music. It's not me doing that. But I wanted you to notice remember the date, July 23rd, just a couple of days before Michael passed. And the timing of this was when Nancy Schneiderman had our show on MSNBC, and they tried to suppress it. I remember people would mention it, and some people tried their hardest. If you notice, they tried not to keep mentioning rabbis and Jewish officials and stuff in that community. And before anybody starts saying that I'm picking on anybody, I'm just pointing out that, and I hate to say it like this, but Farrah Fawcett, and even more so Michael Jackson's death, was a godsend for these people. And I'll tell you why I say this. It's because if people really start to pay attention to this story, a lot of people will start questioning the organ donation program. And the reason why I can even go further into this, my mother passed away, as some of y'all know, in 2004, okay? And my mother, we and my father went to the hospital. We had got a call. And I ain't gonna lie to you, and I think that's probably why my father to this day feel that maybe he should have had her transferred to another hospital or something. What happened was, when we went to the hospital, my mom had an aneurysm, and she had moved her finger, and my father and the doctors were shocked, and they said it was the first time she had to move it. Now, part of me want to believe that she held on to make sure I got there, because at that time I was still in the military, so getting emergency leave it's a time-consuming thing. So I got there, and we had some hope. We thought maybe she might survive. But, that kind of aneurysm, we didn't know she was going to be brain damaged or what. So we drove all the way back home. And we was in the house 5 minutes. We get the call. And I'll never forget, as me and my father looked at each other. So we had to turn right back around and go back to the hospital. And that was the hardest decision of our lives. And my father couldn't do it, so he took off life support. So I don't think my mother was off life support 5 minutes. And the nuns and the doctor came in, talking about donating her body parts and whatnot. Now, my mother didn't have donate a card. And I didn't want my mother to be chopped up like that. I didn't want to think about that. Here it is, you have your father, the man to you looked at as a suit man in your life. He's crying. And any guy out there that have a father in their life, or uncle or grandfather, when you hear a guy cry like that, man, it does something to you. So in the back of my mind, I said, I should have took my dad home, and I should have went back. But my family needed me. Me being the eldest, you have to stand strong. And then I was going to go to Iraq, so I had to be there. In the back of my mind, I really do think they went and harvested my mother's organs. I really do. Because at that same time, the very hospital she's at, it was released in a press that, we found one of our patients died, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I wondered if that was my mom. And I didn't have the guts to go, because when they perform autopsies and stuff, and you don't know, and you know how some of these funeral homes get down. We hear rumors all the time. We hear stuff. But anyways, fast forward to this. When I heard this story, my mind kept going back and forth to that. And for years, we've heard rumors. A lot of people have heard rumors about the Jewish mafia, and they're doing certain things. People go missing. And they find them missing body parts, all kinds of stuff. And the media usually hush it. You never hear about it again. So when I saw this story, I'm like, aha, that kind of thing. But then when Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson died, and more so Michael Jackson, you heard nothing else about the story. Nothing else about the story. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you go on YouTube, it's hard to find anything on this. And guess what? This didn't happen only in New Jersey. This happened in other parts of the country. And then when they found out that stuff was going to Israel, they really put the kibosh on talking about it. And the reason why, and I use Michael Jackson as a comparison to this, okay, or bring him into it, because they use his death to cover this up. But at the same time, the media, and whether people want to believe this or not, people get mad. I'm just stating something that I've noticed and everybody noticed. Who runs Hollywood? Who runs the media? They decide what story gets to go on, what doesn't get to go on. And like I said, they wasn't gonna sit here and see any of their brethren get called out, or the stereotypes, or the things that everybody used to say was stereotypes, or was anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish, as I like to say, was true. And I mean, just going back thinking about it, a lot of people were on point about this stuff. And you know, it's funny how they crucified Michael in life, but used him in death to cover their ass. And it just something I was thinking about. But also on top of that, about the Farrah Fawcett thing, that she died the very same day Michael died. I remember I know her boyfriend, he wasn't a husband, he never got married. Ryan O'Neal and people in Hollywood was complaining about the coverage. Like they were trying to say, how dare Michael Jackson get, you know, coverage, and then compare Farrah Fawcett. First of all, Michael Jackson had been performing since he was a little kid. And Michael Jackson did more than just sing and dance. And, you know, let's be honest, most people who maybe our age and up knew who Farrah Fawcett was. Or less those who were really into TV and movies, you know what I mean? And I remember when The View went back off its, when it started its new season. And I remember, I guess around that time, they was talking about Michael. I guess one of those, I think it was one of the award shows. But I think it was later on when the Academy Awards came on. And they showed a tribute, and I think they left Farrah Fawcett out. A lot of people got mad about why they showed Michael Jackson. And I remember Joy Behar made the biggest thing on The View, and Barbara Walters. And I'm like, don't they forget Michael Jackson had a song, Ben, that was used in the soundtrack? Don't they remember Michael Jackson starring The Wiz, and he made cameos in other films, or made music and wrote songs like for Free Willy? I guess they forget that. And they always have a one-track mind. And then thinking about Joy Behar, how she's quick to call somebody anti-Semitic, and then she's married to a Jewish man. I mean, these are things that just popped out of my head. Not want to say popped out, man. Things that popped into my head, and I started to remember what was the reaction towards Michael Jackson, but also what was going on in the country at that time. Now, maybe you might find some more video on this about the organ harvesting and what happened. And if you type in organ harvesting and Michael Jackson, he might pop up with something. But I just thought you guys should know that even in death, they was using Michael Jackson's cover, and as they were attacking him in life. And it was the same group of people that took him down. I wouldn't say exact same thing. I should say the same men and women have a certain mindset. Let me be careful. I don't want nobody saying that the harvesters did something, but you know what I mean.